1966 to 1996. So a period of 30 years.
Right.
There's a handful, and then suddenly at 1996 we start seeing this rapid increase.
Exactly. And it's a fallacy to say, too, that no one has ever defended themselves. Luke Woodham in Pearl, Mississippi, a vice principal, stops the shooting before it even gets started with his own concealed carry handgun that he had in his car. You have Appalachian Law School, where the two students interrupted the shooter, or he would have committed enormous acts of violence. And as a matter of fact, what happened in there was as soon as the shooter saw these two students with the firearms, he immediately dropped his gun.
I've got to.
I want you to respond to that because
so let's just go with the point that Kim is making right now. And let me just say, for clarity purposes, I own guns. I'm not anti-gun. Okay. Up until 3 weeks ago.
You have a concealed weapons permit?
I do. I had it for 18 years, and I forgot that it subsided. So I am not necessarily unsympathetic to your cause and your mission. Having said that, colleges still have a responsibility to keep students safe. And let me just give you the comment on.
Well, they're not performing it though. Come on.
Listen, you have to understand.
Before we get past the responsibility, I want to say something. They have no legal responsibility under the law. Just like law enforcement has no responsibility to protect citizens, they have no responsibility to keep you safe. They have a responsibility to provide an environment for learning, and that's it. Not safety. There's nothing.
Okay. Well, okay. We're splitting hairs. Let me get back to what you said. Let me get back to what you said, and I think your argument can be strengthened so much more than this.
I'm not done yet.
You were talking.
Oh, I know, but wait a minute. You guys have to finish your point quick because we have to take a break.
Well,
you're yelling at me. All right, it's going to take a while.
Let's go to the break.
Here's what we're going to do. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a little break here, and if you've got the question or a comment you'd like to get into this, give us a call at 412-333-PCNC, and we'll be right back. All right, let's get these phones open and give us a call if you've got a question or a comment. 412-333-PCNC is the telephone number, and we're getting both sides of this issue about whether students should carry guns. And one of the reasons this is on the front burner here is not just because of these school shootings, but there's also an organization called Students for Concealed Carry on Campus. This is a group that was formed last year after the Virginia Tech massacre, and more students are joining this organization, and they're demanding that they be allowed to protect themselves on college campuses. Okay, so Tom, you were defending your position here against this.
So here's the thing. There are multiple things, but I want to get back to what Kim had said earlier, which is very important. I was going to save that to the end, but let's bring it up right now. You had mentioned a couple incidents and there's a significant list of fatalities here on college campuses.
Yes.
And I don't discount for 1 second that something needs to be done. But here's the thing, and you know the numbers better than I do, so please don't hold me to the exact numbers. Roughly in the U.S., Mike, there are, and Kim knows these numbers better than I do, there are roughly 30,000 approximately gun fatalities each and every year. If you take out the 12 or 13,000 of those gun fatalities that are suicides, just put them aside for a second, you've got roughly 15 to 16,000 murders in this country. Let's take out another 1,000 of those because you have, obviously on these college campuses, one gunman doing multiple shootings, multiple killings. So let's just say for discussion's sake, we've got 15,000 murders going on, and that encompasses on the streets and in college campuses. You know, Kim, you made a point earlier, but I've not heard of one incident. I can't, can you tell me 15 or 20 a year? You're saying it's 2.5 million. I've not heard one news report that said, Good Samaritan in Pittsburgh took down a gunman and saved the day. A Good Samaritan in Illinois took down a gunman.
Actually, there have been a couple in Pittsburgh, but
just recently. It was the Ingram clerk who stopped a man who jumped a counter with his concealed carry firearm. That happens all the time. Professor Gary, listen, I've studied this for over 20 years.
I understand that.
Okay, we have some of the finest minds involved that are assisting us with this. Professor Gary Kleck from Florida, criminologist, has discovered it's 2.5 million times a year people defend themselves with handguns.
So
2.5 million times a year.
Okay, but wait a minute.
That's nuts.
If you say there are 2.5, where are you getting that number? Where is he getting?
He's doing surveys of individuals based on statistical analysis, and he's an expert at this.
Okay, but wait a minute. Even if surveys, is he going out and asking people, well, did you use a firearm, or is he actually looking at police reports?
Both. Okay. But even if we break it down further, the National Institute of Justice looked at this, and they have categorized this as 1 million times plus. It's in their reports available on the FBI and the National Institute of Justice website.
I find that fascinating because I've not, again, I don't discount that you'll hear an occasional report, and the ones that you bring up, somebody defending himself, I was aware the principal went out, I think he was a principal, in his vehicle, got his handgun, and prevented further death. But 2.5 million, I don't. That we should be hearing 500 a day.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second here. Do you think it's because, and my bias is going to show right here. I'm going to phrase the question this way. Don't you think it's because the media has a vested interest in this whole gun control liberal
possibly.
agenda?
Yeah, and if I'm being candid, I would say possibly. But
let me take this out of the realm of this. We're discussing what has happened. Let's put it what it really is. When a person goes onto a school campus, they should not be told to check their rights. Not veterans, not civilians, and not students if they're lawfully concealed carry. And that's what this is. What you're saying, no, what these experts say is I should not have the right to defend my life or make that choice.
Well, let me give you a couple scenarios. And I'm going to throw a couple quick numbers, and it may or may not be relevant. You know, we're talking in the big scope of things of, say, 15,000 murders a year, which is just an incredibly huge number. Do you know how many students are killed approximately on college campuses from guns? Do you have any idea?
I haven't seen the figures, no.
Okay, well, you know, right now, let me give you some quick numbers. There are over 1,700 students die every year on college campuses from alcohol. 1,200 students a year die on college campuses from suicide.
Okay, what's the point, though?
The point is, the number of shootings on college campuses is probably about 140. Now, I may be off of my exact numbers. I'm talking about out of a population of students. There are 10 million people, 10 million students on college campuses each and every year. So when you're talking about arming 21-year-olds on college campuses, I've got a couple big issues with that. Number one, the number one problem on college campuses right now is alcohol. In a college environment, on campus and off campus.
Okay, so I don't know where you're going with this.
Well, here's where I'm going with this. I'm going with this. Let me just finish. I'm going with this.
Finish your point.
You've got 21-year-olds carrying guns on campus, and that's fine. I think the college has a right to tell them not to, but 21-year-olds are carrying guns on campus, and the number one problem on campuses and off campus is alcohol consumption. You combine alcohol and guns.
You said that, but what's the point?
The point is, I think it can be more deadly than the numbers you're showing here.
Well, then, if you're doing that, I hate to be ganging up on you.
No, that's fine.
But everybody knows how I feel about this. But if you want to talk about the number of young people killed, what's the number killed in auto accidents?
That's significant.
Well, okay, then.
So there's 5,000 college students who killed from auto accidents.
Maybe we should just prevent the young people from driving. That might save a lot of lives.
Okay, so
let me finish this up. Okay, you're saying this, if a 21-year-old could possibly get into binge drinking. I just specified before that to get a concealed carry license, your reputation and character at heart. If a person is drinking...
Who's going to tell him? Who's going to tell the officer that this guy's binge drinking?
Okay, guys, we really need a break here, and we're going to take a break, and we're going to get to some calls, too. I think Alec is up first. So, Alec, we're going to get to you when we continue on Night Talk in just a few moments. All right, it's Night Talk. Thank you for joining us tonight. Our telephone number is 412-333-PCNC if you have a question or a comment for us. And the issue is, should students be allowed, and faculty members, or faculty members, be allowed to carry concealed weapons if they've had the background checks on campus to protect themselves from the crazies out there? But before we get back to our discussion, I wanted to give you a little update on the Super Tuesday 2. Heavy voting in Ohio, and presumably that is on the Democratic side because John McCain has already been projected as the winner in Ohio on the Republican side. But apparently heavy voting in Ohio has kept some of the polling places in some of the cities, including Sandusky, open for an extra, I don't know how many minutes. They're expecting something like 90 minutes. Of extra voting time because the people were in line. I mean, this is a huge turnout apparently in Ohio. And down in Texas, we're getting a report that Barack Obama had an early lead. Now, those polls in Texas, I don't believe, are closed just yet. But apparently Obama had an early lead based upon voting prior to the actual primary day. Apparently they're allowed to do some early voting down there in Texas. They have different rules in different states. So that's our update at the moment on our on our primary Super Tuesday 2. All right, guys, back to the, I forgot whose turn it was.
Well,
here.
I think it's Kim's turn.
Okay, it's Kim's turn. All right, on this issue.
The fact of the matter is that citizens, students 21 years old, are all subject to the laws of our Commonwealth. Concealed carry permit holders in Pennsylvania have a revocation rate of about 0.1%. They are more law-abiding than virtually every other state in the nation. You don't have problems in Utah. You don't have problems in Oregon with the very things you're talking about, binge drinking, shooting up campuses and stuff like that by concealed carry permit holders. I think it is a fallacy, and I think it is the height of hypocrisy to say that Pennsylvania college students can't be as law-abiding as those other states.
I didn't say that.
Well, let me finish now. Okay, and I think it is wrong to be telling veterans who are students that they can defend their country, but they can't defend their own lives on campus property, especially when it's a recognized fact that universities and police have no responsibility to protect citizens, and they cannot respond to a situation and have not responded to a situation where they've done anything but limit the carnage, and the body count here in all these incidents is just extraordinarily high. And after the laws are enacted and we have this problem, I think we need a new direction, and it's wrong.
Well, so let me ask you this. You're obviously very passionate about this.
Yes.
And let's take Pennsylvania out of the equation, because the law to carry a concealed permit concealed weapon is 21.